In the mid-1990s, a circuit clerk stumbled upon at least 15 boxes tucked away in a basement in a downtown office building. Hidden in those boxes were stories about the enslaved people who used a St. Louis, Missouri courtroom to sue for their freedom. They're called the Freedom Suits. In memory of those brave men and women, the city of St. Louis will pay tribute to them with a memorial statue. Judge David Mason created the Freedom Suits Memorial Project.
The inspiration for this monument came to me essentially in my role as a teacher of trial advocacy. I was kind of curious as to what kind of trial lawyer could convince 12 white men in the 1800s that a slave ought to win a lawsuit against the slave owner. And it's interesting to note that the great majority of these suits were filed by women, because under the law, if they won their freedom, so did their children. We're celebrating the slaves who had the courage to do it because they faced such dire consequences if they lost. The lawyers who put the time in because they weren't getting paid and worked to win these suits for the slaves who were entitled to be free. And the judges and jurors who listened to their cases, took their evidence, and issued verdicts and orders that these slaves should be freed. And the slave master had to just give it up and let them go.
But moving the memorial from a dream to reality was not an easy task. It took years of preparation, which spanned over 3 mayoral administrations.
I think it makes us better as St. Louisans to pull together and acknowledge this part of our history and to be committed in the future to do better.
It's going to be a very transformative project for St. Louis.
Honored to break ground on this memorial, honoring the tenacity and the courage of Black Missourians who came before me, blocks away from the very spot where our ancestors, in the face of slavery's atrocities, sued for their freedom.
This clay is really the top drawer.
Preston Jackson, a nationally renowned artist and sculptor, was commissioned to create the statue.
I use nothing but the best materials. This clay is what they use for modeling automobiles.
The statue will tell the story about the journey to freedom through the legal process. Jackson hopes the symbolism will take the onlooker back in time.
This area, there's more symbolism. You see the various races that make up America. So we see Native Americans, or the originals. We see African people. We see Europeans, and we see Asians. And that's how I see St. Louis. There's a lot of positiveness in this piece, meaning that we see a family. And don't we all desire to be able to pass on what we know and who we are to our children? But this is the look of the time. We see his dad and his mom modeled in a very loose fashion, loose and interesting way, because when the light plays on this piece, even at night or in the daytime, all of the texture will wake up and begin to dance like an impressionist painting.
The statue will be mounted on a stone foundation located on the east lawn of the Civil Courts building, which has been officially named Freedom Plaza.
The pedestal will be made out of 5 separate pieces. There will be 4 walls, which will be miter cut on the ends, so there will be very minimal seams. The top will then rest and be pinned to that. There will be engraving on the walls of all the plaintiffs, both the ones that did win their cases and I believe the ones that did lose their cases. It is an extremely important part of not only St. Louis history, but national history.
When finished, the monument will reach a stunning 20 feet.
The St. Louis court system should be proud of the role they played. Not every case came out as it should have, but some did, and it really set the tone for what was to come. And we know that our country today is in the middle of a long overdue racial reckoning. And this will be an educational monument to help all of us learn a little more.